When a young woman gave birth to a baby without eyes, she made a heartbreaking decision to relinquish him, fearing that he would never have a family. The child was placed in an orphanage, and a campaign was launched to find a new family for him. Then, something remarkable happened that changed the course of his life. At 31 weeks into her pregnancy, the woman's biological mother underwent another checkup. She was excited about the prospect of having a child, but also nervous. She had little experience caring for children and worried if motherhood would come naturally to her. Throughout her pregnancy, she worried about being able to provide for her child. During the examination, the nurse's expressions were concerned, and the doctor was called into the room. The woman felt panic, but was not prepared for the news the doctor shared. The medical professional informed her that her child had a medical condition. The young woman had difficulties with her eyes. She told the doctor that she should prepare for the possibility that her child might be born with no eyes. After leaving the hospital, she felt lost. Throughout the journey home, she considered what life would be like with her child. As time passed and the expected due date approached, she made a difficult decision. She did not believe she had the ability to properly care for a child with special needs. She decided to place her child for adoption. Although she was not happy about this decision, she felt it was the best option. She had no family or friends to help her, and caring for a child with such a rare condition would have been impossible. When she gave birth, she could not look at her child, fearing she would become attached to him and not be able to give him the care he needed. Despite her difficulties, she knew it was best for both of them. It was heartbreaking for her, but she entrusted her child to the care of doctors and nurses, leaving him to an uncertain future. She left the hospital in tears, still unsure if she had made the right decision. It seemed that the worst-case scenario had come true. Little Sasha was indeed born without eyes, a rare condition that caused him to be one of only 3 children in Russia with this syndrome. However, there was hope. Doctors were amazed by Sasha. His condition, known as SOX2 anophthalmia, is usually accompanied by other serious medical issues such as cognitive impairment, speech difficulties, and hearing loss. The disease occurs in only 1 in every 250,000 births. Despite this, Sasha has overcome all challenges and is now a healthy and happy little boy with no other health issues. He has won the hearts of everyone at the hospital, who admire his strength. He is a special child. The boy continued to smile. Sasha had 2 harmless cysts on his forehead, but the doctors were not concerned and quickly and easily removed them. It was remarkable that the little boy did not seem to have any other issues aside from the lack of eyes. As soon as the doctors confirmed that little Sasha was in perfect health, he was transferred to a local orphanage in Russia. The medical team and nurses were sad to see Sasha go, and they are concerned about his future. They know that despite his good health, with his current condition, it will be difficult for him to find a family. When saying goodbye to Sasha, the medical staff could not help feeling heartbroken at his situation. However, Sasha soon won over the entire orphanage staff, who were delighted to see his cheerful nature. A young boy, despite his difficult beginning in life. On challenging days, Sasha would brighten with a smile. At the orphanage, Sasha could brighten up. The orphanage understood that Sasha would flourish under the care of a loving family. However, finding such a special family for him would be exceedingly difficult. The hospital where Sasha was born maintained close contact with the orphanage when they began to devise a care plan for him. Due to his lack of eyes, the young boy would require tiny eyeball implants to prevent any deformities of his face as he grows. The implants would need to be replaced every 6 months to adapt to Sasha's changing facial features. There was no certainty that Sasha would ever see, but since he was born blind, it was easier for him to adjust in a suitable environment. There was no reason why Sasha could not develop in the same way as in childhood without his condition. The implantation of the eye would ensure that Sasha's appearance would be similar to that of any other child, which would allow him to lead the most normal life possible given his circumstances. One nurse at the orphanage formed a strong attachment to Sasha, and the idea that he might not find a permanent home broke her heart. As a loving and compassionate individual, she decided to accompany Sasha to St. Petersburg during his surgery. Thus, if a familiar face was present when the boy awoke from surgery, she knew that he would not be able to recognize her, as he was still an infant. However, she was confident that he would sense her presence and that it would calm him. A kind nurse patiently waited in the hospital waiting room, praying silently, hoping for a successful outcome. The surgery seemed like a significant procedure for such a young boy. Fortunately, after several hours, the doctors informed the nurse that all had gone according to plan, and Sasha was doing well. As soon as Sasha entered the hospital room, a broad smile appeared on his face. It seemed that nothing could dampen the spirit of this brave young boy. The nurse could not help but smile back. Although she knew that Sasha could not see anything, she felt that he would understand her happiness. After developing a suitable medical plan, the orphanage began the difficult task of finding a loving family for this young boy, who needed operations twice a year. They wanted a family that would not only accept him despite his condition, but also love him. However, no one had imagined how difficult this task would be. Every time a family visited the shelter, they greeted Sasha with looks of pity and sometimes even disgust. Some families were simply not interested in hearing his story beyond his condition, that he was born with a visual impairment. Details about his beautiful smile, loving nature, and love for playing with other children were overlooked, as well as the joy he derived from swimming. All these things that defined Sasha as an individual seemed to matter little to others. People saw a disabled child, nothing more. As Christmas approached, the orphanage celebrated great success, with children finding new families for the holidays. With Christmas trees and decorations beginning to appear around the facility, a sense of sadness arose that prevented everyone from truly embracing the spirit of the season. Everyone's thoughts turned to one little boy, Sasha. It was likely that he would spend his first Christmas in the orphanage, a happy and loving child. Although the staff always tried their best to make Christmas as magical and joyous as possible, they knew it would never match the joy of Christmas at home that a family could provide. They wished for all the children under their care to find happy homes, but Sasha in particular charmed them, and for him to receive a family for Christmas would be a true miracle. The staff at the orphanage came together to formulate a plan. They needed to do something that would truly encourage people to give Sasha an opportunity, rather than simply ignoring him. A nurse who had come to St. Petersburg with a young boy had an idea. She suggested that the journalist write a story about Sasha that could be shared on social media. While most agreed that this would likely bring Sasha the recognition he desperately needs, there were concerns about his safety and the risk of turning him into a media target. It was a sensitive situation that required careful consideration and compassion. A search has begun for a journalist who can navigate this sensitive matter. The staff met with Ms. Svetlana Sova and realized immediately that she was the ideal person to tell Sasha's story. The orphanage team began creating the perfect page for the adoption of the little boy, featuring a photo of a happy and smiling child who responded joyfully when he heard familiar voices. Meanwhile, Ms. Sova began writing the perfect article to show the world just how special Sasha is. Within a few days of publishing her article about Sasha in a local newspaper, it was picked up by international news outlets, eager to share the story of this happy child seeking a home for the holidays. The orphanage could hardly believe the level of interest generated by Sasha's article. They hoped and prayed that it would attract interested families within Russia, but they could not have imagined that they would also receive inquiries from hopeful parents from all over the world. In a short period of time, Sasha went from being a child of no interest to a highly sought-after individual. His story had captured the hearts of people around the globe, and the orphanage was thrilled to see the positive attention brought to their cause. I fell in love with the world overnight. The staff at the orphanage was stunned by the response to the story of Sasha and began the challenging task of reviewing the applications for adoption of the young boy. They received a significant number of inquiries from families outside Russia, and while they were happy that people were interested in adopting Sasha, they also wanted to ensure that he would be placed in a family that could provide him with the best possible care. After reviewing the numerous applications, the authorities faced a difficult decision. Should Sasha be adopted outside Russia or remain in the orphanage? The authorities carefully considered each application before making their decision. Despite all the difficulties, Sasha's story took a positive turn just in time for the Christmas season. Representatives from the adoption agency received a request from a family in Russia who wished to learn more about Sasha and his situation. His story had been spreading across the world, but until this point, the authorities had shown no interest in placing him with a family in Russia, or at least none that seemed viable. The agency carefully considered the application, remembering that it was not appropriate to rush to conclusions simply because the family lived in Russia. The family was seen as a good fit for this special little boy, and it seemed that all the necessary paperwork was in order. On a significant day, the family was invited to the shelter to meet Sasha. The atmosphere was tense, as everyone involved desperately wanted the meeting to go well. However, they did not want to jeopardize the chances of finding a suitable family for Sasha, so they approached the meeting with caution. To be hopeful in the event of failure, the family immediately relaxed when they arrived at the orphanage. Warmth and love emanated from them, and when they met Sasha, a wide smile appeared on his face. The family spent the afternoon at the shelter, playing with the little boy and learning more about the medical care he would need. Operations were performed every 6 months, and this did not interfere with the family's plans. They were more concerned with who the little boy was beyond his blindness. They understood that it would always be part of his life, but they saw no reason why he could not live his life as any other child could. This was all the orphanage desired for Sasha. In time for Christmas, Sasha was reunited with his new family. Everyone who had met Sasha over the previous months was overwhelmed with joy at the incredible Christmas miracle that occurred. Information about the family was mostly kept private. The details that were shared about Sasha's new family and their life together hinted at the happiness that the little boy will now experience. Everyone expressed joy at the news that Sasha has found a family to call his own and wished him and his new parents every success. Svetlana Sova, the journalist who played a significant role in bringing Sasha's story to the world's attention, began writing another article to share the happy ending with those who had closely followed the boy's journey. In her article, she described adoption as a special kind of Christmas magic, highlighting that Sasha not only has 2 loving parents but also sisters with whom he can play. She shared that the family owns a summer cottage in the countryside, where Sasha and his sisters will spend many summers enjoying outdoor activities. The article hinted at a future filled with warmth, laughter, and joy. Sasha's new family welcomed him with open arms. They opened their hearts and showed him love, understanding, and acceptance, despite the challenges that come with raising a child with a visual impairment. The family was determined to prove that blindness is not a barrier to success and happiness. Through their love and support, they showed Sasha that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. His sisters enjoyed having a younger brother to play with and treat him differently, creating a special bond between them. As Christmas approached, the family realized that although Sasha couldn't physically see the lights and decorations, he certainly felt the spirit of the holiday. The family's love and care made it a truly magical Christmas for everyone, especially for Sasha, who had found a new home and family to call his own.